Shalom to the elect of Israel, to the whole flock of Israel, you Hebrew Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians. Got to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah. The Most High, the Heavenly Father, his Hebrew name is Yahweh. Not Yahweh, not Jehovah, not God, not Elohim, not Most High, not Lord, not Yah, not Jah, not Ahai, not Allah, not Abba, not Yahuwah. It's Yahweh. And his only begotten Son name in the Hebrew is Yahweh Shah. Not Yahshua, not Yeshua, not Jesus Christos, not Jesus Christ, not Serapis Christos, not Yeshaya, not Yehoshua, not Yahusha. It's Yahweh Shah. So gotta give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rekah, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elder bishop and elders of great minister who well, who teach well, who are the apostles and elders of all of Israel, whether accepted or not. And a sincere salutation to all the Akim pushing this truth and believing this truth with the four winds of the earth, the entire world, shedding light to the hopeful elect. Shalom to the Artworth who are listening, learning. If you sisters who are listening, learning. So coming into another lesson, coming into another day of education, Lord, will this be edifying. So I titled this lesson, The Lord is a Man of War. So World War III is inevitable. Lord wants to be edified. Now I saw this today from Richard Wolff. It's only 8 minutes and 39 seconds. And he always makes some great points in his videos. It's him, this guy here, Richard Wolff. Richard Wolff and the other guy I watch, Chris Hedges. They all talking about how America is through and it's being ran by classism, which is the elites. So this is just 8 minutes. Check this out what he say. The Lord wants to be edifying. Oh, let me turn this volume down.
Welcome, friends, to another edition of Wolf Responds. I want to talk briefly with you about war and peace, and specifically about the role of the United States in the two major wars now going on, one in Ukraine and one in Gaza, Israel and Palestine. And I particularly want to focus on the role of the United States, because the United States is the major provider of the funds that keep that war, both wars going. And the United States is at the same time the major provider of the weapons used by the Ukrainians in one war and by the Israelis in the other war. The total cost to the United States in money is astronomical, in excess of $100 billion, perhaps in a large excess over that already enormous sum. It means that the United States, if it pulled back on the provision of weapons and money, would probably close those wars down. It certainly would drastically reduce the physical destruction and the human destruction going on in those wars in ways that I will explain. I won't go into all the other useful things that could be done with over $100 billion. Useful.
Now, before we go too deep, because we at 1 minute and 47 seconds, I gotta run back. Salakia, I gotta run this back because what he said in the beginning. So let's play this again.
Welcome, friends, to another edition of Wolf Responds. I I want to talk briefly with you about war and peace.
That's the point I want to make real quick. So he said he want to talk about war and peace, right? In Ecclesiastes 3 and 1, it reads, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up. So this is verse 8. It reads, a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. Right now is not the time of peace. This is Luke. No, Salakia. This is Matthew. This is Matthew chapter 10 and 34. It reads, think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I tell you, nay, Salakia. Think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. So the Lord, as I titled it, the Lord is a man of war. So World War III is inevitable. Let's listen to what he got to say.
And specifically about the role of the United States in the two major wars now going on, one in Ukraine and one in Gaza, Israel and Palestine. And I particularly want to focus on the role of the United States, because the United States is the major provider of the funds that keep both wars going. And the United States is at the same time the major provider of the weapons used by the Ukrainians in one war and by the Israelis in the other war. The total cost to the United States in money is astronomical, in excess of $100 billion, perhaps in a large excess over that already enormous sum. It means that the United States, if it pulled back on the provision of weapons and money, would probably close those wars down. It certainly would drastically reduce the physical destruction and the human destruction going on in both those wars in ways that I will explain. I won't go into all the other useful things that could be done with over $100 billion. Useful things in and for Ukraine, useful things in and for Gaza, and useful things in and for the United States.
And Babylon the Great just sent another 250 million to Ukraine to continue to fight with Russia.
In other words, we could do a lot better with $100 billion than make possible two horrible wars. If this is a plea for peace, yes, of course it is. And let me deal with the lame arguments made against what I am suggesting. One, which is repeated over and over again, and most recently by Mr. Biden in France, the notion that there will be a domino effect. In other words, in the case of Ukraine, if the United States doesn't fund and arm the Ukrainians, well, then the Russians will next go after all the rest of Eastern Europe, and the countries there will fall to the Russian army like so many dominoes. There is no evidence, as many experts have pointed out, that the Russians could cope with or want or have any signs of ambition towards the rest of Eastern Europe. The domino theory that you have to go fight a war over there because otherwise your adversary will take over every place has been used to lamely justify every other war the United States has faced since World War II. We were told that the Korean War had to be fought or else the Chinese would take over the rest of Asia. The war was fought to a draw. China went nowhere in the rest of Asia. We were told we had to fight in Vietnam or else communists would overrun all of Indochina. Didn't happen. We were told we had to go into Afghanistan or else ISIS or this one or that one would take over, or we lost the war in Vietnam. Nobody did anything in the way of dominoes. And we lost in Afghanistan and no dominoes fell. So you ought to take the notion that we have to fight in Ukraine or else the dominoes will fall to Russia as another example of being bamboozled into war support on the basis of arguments that have been wrong over and over again. Do we really want all these people to die, all these billions to be wasted on a theory that hasn't worked at all for a very long time? I don't think so.
The answer is yes, man. Yes, yes, and yes. Thus saith Yahweh Shemawashah.
Look, there has to be a just peace, a peace worked out by negotiations and which all the parties participate. Otherwise, these wars will never stop. The struggle between Russians and Ukrainians is many years old. If there isn't a just, negotiated, globally guaranteed peace there, it won't stop just because the official war stopped. It has to be a negotiated solution. And the same is true of Israel and the Palestinians. We have had now decades during which one outrageous military violent activity has shaken these two countries. Each time, the Israelis proudly caused more damage to the Palestinians than vice versa. And each time we were told that's necessary to what? To stop the violence? Clearly, we have not solved the problem. We have the worst violence ever now. The line of violence has gone up, not down. The wars, the repressions have not solved the problem. There needs to be an international, negotiated, just peace, or else the wars will flare up again. In Ukraine, in Gaza, that's the lesson of history. It's also the obvious need now, which the United States could take the lead on. Instead, Mr. Biden throws the old domino theory up again, as if it were some hot new insight, which it isn't. Or we have the sad spectacle of Nikki Haley writing on a bomb, "Finish them," as if egging on the Israelis. Who's the them? Hamas? Hamas is bigger now than it was when this activity of Israel started, proving the old adage, if the war is unjust, it produces new soldiers faster than it get rid of old ones. And what a spectacle. Not a bringer of peace, but a bringer of violence, cheered on by an American politician. No, we can do better than all of this, and we ought to. History will not look kindly on a United States that funded and armed two horrible wars that most of the world have now pronounced unjustified, inappropriate, to be stopped. The war in Ukraine and the one in Gaza. And the United States is in the best position to make that happen. And it is a tragedy that it misses that opportunity and instead perpetuates the violence. This is Richard Wolff thanking you for your attention to another Wolff Responds.
So this is as a matter of fact, I get it from the phone. Let me change this. Bear with me here. So maybe he know, maybe he don't know. But if there are some out there that don't know, let me show you this. And this is from the Heavenly Father. This is from the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, through his own begotten Son, Yahweh Shah. The so-called white man don't understand prophecy. He can give you details on things, but he can't give you the reason. So I'm gonna read this verse in Exodus 15:3. It reads, Yahweh is a man of war. The Lord is his name. Right? Let's get Isaiah chapter 9 and 5. And it reads, For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. So it said, for every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood. And this is how they fought in the ancient time. Oh, you had two different sides of the field. Everybody having shields, body armor, spears, daggers, swords, right? Different instruments. The balls with the spike on them. It reads again, Isaiah 9 and 5. For every battle of the warriors with confused noise and garments rolled in blood. But this, what's the this? World War III shall be with burning and fuel of fire. So this is how they fought in the ancient time. You can watch movies like Troy, 300, right? When they fought both sides of the field, charged out at each other, right? So let's get Revelation 11, because it said this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. This Revelations 9 and 12, it reads, One woe is past, and behold, there come two woes more hereafter. Right? Revelation 11:14. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. So there is no stopping what's coming. The Lord is a man of war. Let me get this. And then I'm going to go into what's on the screen. This is Isaiah